Hey, welcome back to Fireplace Garage. Today we're actually going to be putting to sleep our 1976 Aqua Sport bass boat with the Tower Power. All right, real quick on this quick episode, we're going to go ahead and protect our Tower of Power and our boat to be able to store it for the winter. It is cold. In the next few nights, it's supposed to get down to the 20s and even into the teens. So we need to put this guy to bed. Now, the good thing is, it's an outboard. Tower of Power, baby. It's a lot easier to winterize these guys than it is an inboard out. Had one Bayliner for years, had a 350 in it. Loved that boat, but it was a pain in the butt to go ahead and winterize because you had to pull all the plugs, you got to drain all the water, you had to put all this other stuff. This one, whole lot easier. I'm gonna give you a couple quick steps to make sure your boat is ready for the next season. All right, so we're gonna start with taking everything out. So take all your life jackets out, put them inside your shop. It's a little bit more of a climate controlled area when you got a cover. So I got a nice little cover on this thing. It's gonna get hot, it's gonna get cold, it's gonna get wet, moisture, all that stuff in here, and you don't want this stuff to go moldy. These things are not cheap, so take all those other stuff out there. Also, any other fabrics like this, we carry a blanket in here only because I do try to go fishing in the winter, and if you get wet, you fall in, you strip down. It's the first thing you do because you don't want to get hypothermia and you need to wrap up something. Always keep a blanket in there. I keep it up here in the front just so it'll be ready for you in case of emergency. Also, look inside all your other stuff. You got the rags. Go ahead and take those out. Make sure your paperwork is enclosed. And then also, go ahead and pull out all your snacks. Now these are my emergency snacks. If you're going to be putting them away for the winter, by the time you actually take this thing out, I'm pretty sure they'll be out of date. But hey, I got a few left. Anyway, pull that out, put it inside. So once you actually go through all your different cubbies, put everything stored away properly so that it will not get moldy, it will not get messed up, and it'll be ready for you for the next season, including your fly rod. Anyway, all right, so now we're gonna get into a little bit more of the mechanical stuff. Now, like I said, we got the Tower of Power, outboard. Everything in here is gravity as far as the water. So once you actually lower it down, all the water is gonna fall out, and then you should be okay as far as the water side. If I'm wrong, put in the comments, let us all know. This is my first outboard, but this is what I've learned so far. Also, if you're going to leave fuel in your tank, hopefully it is non-ethanol fuel, because of course the ethanol is going to degrade and clog up your carburetors, and we'll be right back to where we were at the beginning of last year with redoing the carburetors of this Tower Power. Anyway, so I go to Stable. This is for a storage. Just treats up to 20 gallons of fuel. If you have 10 gallons of fuel, read the label, put in the right amount. Put that in there, and then you're not done yet because you have to run it. There's fuel in the bowls, there's fuel in the lines, everything like that. Run it for a few minutes, make sure all that fuel is burned, and you have your stabilized fuel going in there so that it will not corrode any of your carburetors and lines and fuel pumps and that type of thing. All right, so yeah, go ahead and get some of this stuff, and no, they are not a sponsor. Also, with the engine, there's not a lot you really need to do with this thing, but we're going to go ahead and pop the cover off. We're going to pull all the plugs off and spray some lubricant down into the cylinders. Now, usually I'll use a silicone spray to be able to fog it all over the place. I must have gave my last bottle to somebody else because I don't have any more, but I'm going to use some WD-40. Now, WD would be water displacement, so it will protect inside the cylinders. Don't pour too much of it in there because it don't want to hydrolock it when you actually try to crank it up. And actually the idea is really to pull the plugs again at the beginning of the season, crank it a few times, make sure there's nothing in there, and then put the plugs back in, and it should crank right up. So anyway, let's get this cover off and start spraying some lube. Okay, now we're on the true mechanical side of the house. Look at that Tower of Power. I already pulled one of the plugs off, and what we're going to do is actually grab yourself a socket. Yeah, I already loosened it. But anyway, you're going to pull this guy out. And while you're in there, go ahead and inspect it. It actually looks pretty darn good. All right, so you're going to grab your WD-40 or silicone spray. I really highly recommend that. So get a good fog with this. Probably want to use a little nozzle, the straw that comes with these things. Spray it all the way around, and I think this one's dead. So I guess I'll be getting some more. Yay! Anyway, and then go ahead and put your plug back in. And really you want to put the plug in just so you keep moisture and keep all that stuff out of your cylinders while you're storing it. Now, if you want to take one step further, in which once I get another spray can, I'm going to do it as well. I still have the old plugs. Now they're a little corroded and stuff like that, but I want to put the old plugs in. I just replaced these not too long ago. I want to pull these out and save them for next year, and then put the older plugs in there, and at the beginning of next season I'll pull these out and put the new ones back in. But anyway, you just don't want to get moisture inside the cylinders and corrode it. Now, one other thing, silicone spray works great for this. As you can see, this thing is in pristine condition. All of our connectors are not corroded, they are tight. Everything looks great because I spray it down with the silicone spray to protect it. I don't take it in the salt water, so that works out even better for me. But yeah, see, everything's beautiful. Anyway, just put a light fog on there. The only thing it's really going to do is actually keep it from corroding. It's just going to be sitting in the weeds for a year or 6 months or whatever, and we don't want to have it corrode because we want it to start first time every time. That's right. All right, now since we are putting it away, and the last thing you kind of want to do as far as the mechanical side is to check all your hoses so that you can start stockpiling parts that you might want to replace next year. As in, you got your prime bulb. Now make sure that it is not there on any cracks or anything like that, and if it's starting to get corroded, go ahead and replace it. You don't want to get stuck out there. Also, your hoses down in here, make sure that they are still pliable, flexible, and dirty apparently. And you know, if they look like they need to be replaced, go ahead and replace them. You got all winter to actually stockpile some of the parts, so you can actually have it in there. So let me put this thing back together, and then we're on to the electrical side. There's not a lot to do, but just a little bit. Let's go. You already treated your fuel, you've did the engine, got all your lubricants in there, pull all the plugs, now you're ready to go. And also put it down so you can drain all the water. When you're actually storing it, don't leave the motor up because rainwater will get into the lower unit, freeze, crack. You don't want that. Go ahead and leave it down, and not only that, it takes a little bit of pressure off your transom there, which mine's looking a little bit rough. That might be a future project. Now, as far as the electrical stuff goes, there's a couple of ways of actually doing this. You can do it the old-fashioned way, where my dad used to do it, will be to take all the batteries out, put them in the shop, put a trickle charger on there, and just let it sit there, and it will keep them relatively charged. Now, if you've actually been following the channel, you know that I actually put a trickle charger in the boat already. So there you go. You got the Genesis NOCO. This will actually charge all 3 batteries with one plug. And from what the instruction said is that it'll drain them out a little bit and then charge them up and then actually keep them alive. So I'm going to leave the batteries inside the boat. I will check all the connections next year to make sure that it's not corroded or anything like that, but I'll just plug it in. It will keep them nice and ready for next year. Now, when I did rewire this thing, I rewired the trolling motor and also rewired the regular accessories battery and the starter battery, and I put in breakers. So I'm gonna look at, it's better to see on the other side, so I'm gonna go to the other side and show you those breakers. Okay, so now we are on the excuse me, the trolling motor side, and as you can see, I have the 2 batteries, and we have them all wired up and tie wrapped out of the way. Now I could pull these off and store them into the shop, but I'm not going to. Like I said, I'm going to leave them here. I do have my power inverter there, which is going to be shut off. Now, these are what I'm referring to. So I have a breaker for the 12 volt and breaker for the 24 volt system. So I'm going to go ahead and hit both buttons. I have that on the other side as well, and then that will, excuse me, break the circuit. So now these batteries are standing alone, and there's nothing else connected to it except for the chargers. So I went ahead and did that to isolate everything down. Another reason to do that is while it's storing, if like my trolling motor for some reason shorts out, it's not pulling any charge from the batteries or starting a fire or anything like that. So use your breakers. All right, you're almost done. You're almost there. just get over that hill so you can actually finish it off. So last thing you want to do is actually look at your trailer. Now these tires that are on there, they're fairly new, they're less than a year old, but we want to protect them. That guy right there, see up there? Yeah, that guy will destroy a set of tires. So you can either A, cover them up, or B, take them off. Throw some blocks or whatever jack stands underneath the axle, pull them off, store them inside so the sun does not destroy them. Now that includes your spare tire, which as you can see right here, I don't have a cover on that. I had one, but then while I'm driving along, it actually came off, and haven't quite replaced it yet. So anyway, so other than that, go ahead and cover it up, put it away, and then you should be okay for the next season. I'll do another video on bringing it back to life at the, in the spring, and there's not a lot to do. Pull your plugs, make sure you don't put too much of the lubricant in there. Turn the key, crank it up. Should be ready to go. And put all your stuff back in. Also, your ropes too. Put those away so they don't deteriorate, because you don't want those to break either. All right, well, that's pretty much it. If you know of anything that I forgot, please put it down in the comments. This is for other people's education as well as my own. So teach us all and let us know what we missed. I'm sure there's some other things that that you could do for precautions. Go ahead and look at all the other stuff. Look at the playlist for the entire boat. How we fix the engine, fix the wiring, we're fixing the floor, we're going to be fixing the transom later on, and go ahead and look at our other channel at 5 Lakes ODL and check out why we're using it. We go fishing. It's awesome. Anyway, but this puppy is going to be ready to go for next season. Later.